I have no idea why we continuously see all of these big disagreements or big arguments from the Bitcoin side of this space. We continue to see XRP and Ripple being targeted by all of these Bitcoin maxis, and it's just surprising to me that this is still ongoing many years later. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. I have been noticing a lot of time and a lot of just wasted, intelligence being pushed around the space on one thing, and that's the big debate between Bitcoin and XRP. If your project or if a digital asset that you support requires you to go on mainstream media, go on, interviews, and you go and do all these, media events just to completely target one specific project. I hate to break it to you, but it sounds as if you have a big threat and you want to try getting rid of it. Bitcoin maxis have been talking down on XRP for years now. Again, it continues to be a big talking subject. Even though Bitcoin is still trading around $100,000, we continue to see these Bitcoin maxis focusing on XRP. Here we have another video. There's a lot of excitement around Ripple as potentially a strategic reserve, but I see a lot of fundamental flaws in XRP and honestly view a strategic reserve backed by Ripple as being the demise of the network. Now, this is coming from Anthony Georgiades, and I'm going to focus on this individual because there's a lot that people probably don't know. But listen closely to what he is saying here.
I see the downside less in terms of impacting Bitcoin in particular and more pertaining to other altcoins, specifically Ripple. There's a lot of positive sentiment in the market for Ripple right now and a lot of excitement around Ripple as potentially a strategic reserve. But I see a lot of fundamental flaws in XRP in particular, and honestly view a strategic reserve backed by Ripple as being the demise of the network itself for a number of reasons.
And let's talk a little bit about RXP. You seem to be hot on that issue. Certainly, we have seen a massive surge, to say the least, up by 50+%, I believe, since the start of the year. When you talk about worrisome signs here, why you are a bit concerned, lay that out for us.
So it really goes back to the fundamental behavior of how Ripple itself operates. XRP, the token, runs on the XRP ledger, a decentralized ledger of sorts, which has largely been scrutinized for being controlled and manipulated by Ripple Labs, an independent organization that I somewhat view as smoke and mirrors. Ripple Labs maintains a lot of influence over XRP, particularly how networks are validated by selecting a node list of validators that process all transactions, and most participants in the network use Ripple Labs' default node list. So what does that really mean? Why does that matter for all of this? I actually view this kind of weakness and fail point in the centralized aspects of Ripple as really being why the government would even consider it to be a key candidate for reserve, because they could actually purvey mass regulatory overreach and influence to ensure that any transactions that occur on the Ripple network itself comply with all US regulations, comply with all nation state laws. They may ban particular transactions from particular institutions or nodes domiciled in particular geographical regions. And that fragmentation of trust will really lead and ultimately result in a large breakdown of the network itself, potential forks, loss of network value. And then it just kind of begs you to ask the question, what's the point of this decentralized token at all? It's not going to compete with Visa in terms of speed or performance. It's not going to compete with anything that we know from a centralized perspective, but yet it will become a captured network in that respect. So I view it as a quasi-centralized token that doesn't necessarily have fundamental competitive strengths with existing centralized projects and by no means has a place in a decentralized ethos.
All right, Anthony, thanks so much for your insight.
So, of course, we have to throw around all of these, negative viewpoints and say this, that, whatever. Even though all of this is negative speculation, not proven facts, these Bitcoin maxis are constantly, dishonestly promoting Bitcoin while targeting XRP with dishonest, blatant, made up nonsense. Now, who is this individual? Because he sounds like he knows everything, right? He sounds like he's very intelligent, that he understands the risk involved here with XRP, and XRP is going to be this catastrophic, mistake if it is chosen for a strategic reserve. Well, this is an individual that, if we look at his record here and his resume, big shout out to Cowboy Crypto for this. He happens to be an advisor where Bill Hinman's son is director of enterprise technology. Interesting. On top of that, he's also the co-founder of Pastel, which conveniently uses Ethereum and Solana. If we go back to the whole idea of the ETH free, narrative, and we address the whole speech from Bill Hinman, we know for a fact that Bill Hinman went on to major Ethereum and Bitcoin backed companies, and it just feels as though they are trying to target any competition. They want to target the big threat. It's the number one reason why we got the lawsuit in the first place, right? But Ripple prevailed. XRP continued to become a much bigger piece of this space. XRP continued to, forge a path of its own. And Ripple, as a company, continued to absolutely expand globally. And now they are one of the biggest names even in the US. And XRP definitely is right there with them because they utilize the XRP ledger, they utilize XRP, and they continue to push XRP forward. And now that XRP is becoming this big piece of this space, and it feels as though that SEC lawsuit is almost right behind us, they are getting concerned. They're getting worried because all of their blatant attacks have failed. Even over here from Vet, we have why putting XRP ledger decentralized in quotes. Happy to debate Anthony in all things he touched on. Nonetheless, Ripple has no control over the XRP ledger, just as Saylor has no control over Bitcoin. The default node list is a publication of Ripple's UNL. Every single node has its own UNL and is free to choose. Maintaining overlap in UNLs is a choice for a mainnet, just like Bitcoin enforces. The XRP ledger has pushed billions in value and millions of transactions in 2024 while being very scalable by nature, payment channels, etc., elastic ledger size. And yeah, as we really look at what's going on here, these Bitcoin maxis continue to push these blatant lies as facts, and I feel as an XRP holder that it's just completely ridiculous at this point. Why are we seeing these arguments? Why are we seeing Bitcoin maxis continue to push all this ridiculous FUD? Well, it's because if we go over here and look at the actual list, okay, we could see in the last 30 days, the last 60 days, the last 90 days, and even year to date, XRP is severely outperforming Bitcoin. Even in the last year, when we compare Bitcoin to XRP, okay, XRP has severely outperformed Bitcoin. XRP has also been gaining dominance over this market, which is also challenging Bitcoin. When we look at why these Bitcoin maxis are constantly arguing about XRP and saying XRP is this, XRP is that, it's because they are terrified of what's happening. Even in my recent post on X, right, I've been talking about how the market is shifting. Specifically, I've been talking about how the big banks are starting to push for crypto adoption. Even a lot of these moves being made around like tokenization with the XRP ledger, guys, all of these moves being made here are to support and provide a much bigger spotlight for XRP, for utility-based projects. Even here, right? Some things just never change. 11 years later, Bitcoin maxis are still crying about Ripple and XRP. You'd think after watching Bitcoin go from nothing to 100K, they wouldn't even flinch at the rest of the market. XRP is a much bigger threat today than ever before. And yeah, it is, because again, we are starting to see the entire space shifting from hype and speculation to utility-based. Even here we have, if I were A16Z or Coinbase, I'd be clawing my money back from Fair Shake Pack and creating as much distance from the frauds at Ripple as possible. Terrible decision in first place, but could be salvaged. Wait a second. Why aren't the Bitcoin maxis saying we should, distance ourselves from Tether? Because Tether, for the longest time, has always had the fraud narrative floating around it. But we should distance ourselves from Ripple? Please prove that Ripple is a fraud. Moon Lambo even said, what a stupid take. Even the SEC doesn't allege Ripple engaged in fraud. You have XRP derangement syndrome. You feel threatened by the superior technology of XRP. In the words of toxic Bitcoin maxi Max Kaiser, co-parter. And yeah, I'm very shocked by all of this because, again, Bitcoin, listen, I think that everyone can admit that Bitcoin has done very well. I mean, this is the all-time chart for Bitcoin. I mean, let's just go back to 2018, the middle of the bear market of 2018 into 2019, $3,400. Guys, it's trading at over $100,000. I would argue that Bitcoin's probably going to hit 150K this year. But we're sitting around targeting a asset that's worth, almost $3. What's the big problem here? Is it the fact that Ripple has been expanding rapidly, hiring massively in the US, having meetings with Trump? Is it the reason why, XRP is the #1 project in the Made in the USA narrative? What's the big problem with these Bitcoin maxis? And also, by the way, these videos get massive amounts of views, massive amounts of likes. The question always is XRP going to zero? I mean, these are very crazy statements. Why can't Bitcoin maxis take a step back and look at their own network? It's a failed network. I've said this even on X. I said, if Bitcoin maxis actually spent their time focusing on their chain and supporting devs, maybe it would be a viable network for transacting. I hate to break it to everyone, but Bitcoin will lose market share and dominance and ultimately become nothing more than a piece of history. Because again, even as we really look at what's happening around this space, the narrative is utility, focusing on utility. Utility is going to be the main driver. It's not going to be hype and speculation. I don't care about the whole, I don't care if the whole idea of, the store of value narrative is true or not, because again, we could debate that all day long. The fact is that Bitcoin is a network that is not transactable. We cannot transact on the Bitcoin network. It's a terrible network to transact on. So why, let's go back to the original focus here. Why are Bitcoin maxis so uncomfortable with accepting the fact that XRP is bullish? It's because they are scared of it. They find XRP, they look at it and they're like, all right, well, this is very bullish, but it's a big threat because it's expanding rapidly. It's gaining market dominance very fast. Because again, if we go back to the list, let's go back to the list over here. Okay, let's go look at the columns. Let's get rid of everything on this chart. And let's just go and look at dominance, okay? So if we look at the market dominance on the right, XRP is sitting at about almost 5%. It's almost half of what Ethereum is. And when it starts to shift and we start to gain on Ethereum, and if XRP flips Ethereum, the dominance when Bitcoin also drops, because remember, Bitcoin dominance will drop as we do enter alt season. It's a high probability that XRP gains a very significant amount of dominance this cycle and potentially rallies against Bitcoin, meaning it can potentially get to the point where it does flip Bitcoin. I've shared many times over in the past how XRP did hit over 30% dominance back in 2017, 2018. This is why they are so scared of XRP. They're terrified of it. They're terrified that Ripple is going to be successful in utilizing XRP for the Internet of Value. They are terrified that banks are going to choose XRP because it has been the banker's coin for years now. And they are terrified because they know that Bitcoin is outdated technology and that they cling on to the store of value narrative because it's the only thing that they actually have to hold on to. It's also the number one reason why they have been buddying up to Wall Street and the government and even banks buying Bitcoin or offering Bitcoin services, even though the origins of Bitcoin was always to escape those same players. If we are going off of the origins of Bitcoin, it has failed. But I don't care. Listen, I hope for the success of Bitcoin. I hope Bitcoin goes to $200,000 this cycle. The higher Bitcoin goes, the higher our altcoins go. But at some point in time, that's all going to change. We'll no longer need to rely on Bitcoin. I don't care about Bitcoin. I care about my altcoin bags. I care about the tech behind some of these projects because I know in the long term that these are the projects that will move and ultimately be the drivers of, the enterprise sector, the financial sector, healthcare, you name it. It's not going to be Bitcoin. Tokenization is already happening. Tokenization is happening on the XRP ledger. It's not happening on Bitcoin because guess what? These use cases are not possible on Bitcoin. And that's just facts. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.